Hey everybody, this is Francesco Abbruzzino with the Rogue Rant. Today I want to talk to you about regulations and the impact they're having on small businesses. You know, it's been another year of red tape that small business owners such as myself have to cut through. While purporting to help small business, the regulatory reforms have actually been crafted to help big business, multinational businesses. While it would be convenient to say all businesses are just the same, the facts are otherwise. And I myself and other small business owners are too savvy to believe that we can somehow join these Fortune 500 companies simply by supporting this big multinational anti-regulation tactics. If you look at the regulations, last year there were over 3,300. This year there's over 3,000 in the pipeline. These are all regulations that stifle the economy, stifle small business. You know, a lot of them have direct impact, like the EPA, light pollution, the retirement option plan, or increasing the number of workers that are eligible for overtime. If you look at them, the light pollution, this was implemented of a costly carbon thing. It was basically imposed from new methane rules on energy producers. But what it does is this regulation goes out and hurts the business because it requires us to switch off non-static lights used for advertising and promotion. You turn those off, guess what? You're not getting the new business. You're not getting the business, the revenues aren't going up. The revenues aren't going up, the employees are not keeping their jobs. And you see the domino effect that it has out there. Limits on retirement options for small businesses. The Department of Labor proposed a new retirement rule that would limit the types of retirement plans that small businesses can offer. It restricts the advice financial advisors, experts, can give to small business owners and their employees. So basically, this new rule will raise the cost and make it ultimately unfeasible for a small business owner to offer any form of retirement. Does that make sense? How about the overtime rule? You know, with this new rule, you have $40 a week. You're eligible for overtime pay if you make over $970 a week. This regulation will cost small business owners over the next 10 years over $338 billion. So in other words, hiring people to come out and do work, it's going to get harder. It's going to be more difficult for a small business owner. Do you think they'll be more inclined to do this? You know, all these are impacting businesses. Regulations issued last year, such as the ozone standards, clean power plan, and the FCC's net neutrality rule, they'll all have major impacts on our economy. You know, you look at the Clean Water Act rule. Last year, the EPA and the U.S. Army Corps introduced this new rule. It classifies lands as waters of the United States. And this rule just essentially makes it impossible for small businesses to do anything to their land without spending a ton of money. How about the Food Labeling Modernization Act? I get it. What's in the food? You want to know. But think about it. You overhaul the marketing, the labeling of processed foods, which are not good for you anyways. Small business is in the food industry. This would increase the cost of production. Spend money on more production, less money on the employees. The ruling that expands the joint employer standards is even worse because it says if you work for two associated companies, guess what? You're considered joint employers. And that counts towards that overtime pay. So these new standards hurt small businesses and franchise owners and everything with additional cost. And I know a lot of you might be like, who cares that small business have them pay? But it impacts you. It impacts the cost of the products you want to purchase because those go up. It impacts whether small business hires you or not. A good example is Obamacare. I heard today an individual that does suits. His Obamacare regulation has increased 37% just over the last year. Do you think he's going to be hiring as much? A lot of people will stop at 49 employees so that they don't get the extra Obamacare regulation that's in there. The government's penchant for introducing more regulation has justifiably drawn America's economy into this increasingly burdened society, burdened by regulations. Regulations that constrain business activity, folks. They expand our legal liabilities as small business owners. They impose costly reporting that we have to turn in, the record keeping, all that stuff. And what's this do? The consequences is it's a drag on the economy. And you know, myself being always the entrepreneurial type, I like to think. I have a keen focus on the bottom line. Like many small business owners, we look for ways to minimize the amount of time and money we spend on things other than running our business. Since many of the regulations wisely exempt smallest of the small businesses out there, many employers purposely do not increase their hiring. They'll keep it just to avoid the regulatory regimes, like I said with Obamacare. America's small business owners go into business with an idea to offer a product or service about which we feel passionate about. We start this dream. We have this dream that we're going to have the freedom to run our business our way, the way we want. Then we get there and we find out the task of learning and complying with these federal regulations are just soaking up more and more time, more and more resources. And that's all time that we need to invest into that instead of our business to help it thrive, into our employees to help them grow. For the American small business owner, the opportunity costs of federal regulations are all too often crowding out investment and hiring. What say you, folks? This has been Francesco Abbruzzino with the Rogue